Hello, listeners. Welcome to the yet another exciting and timely special series episode of Masters Decoded. I'm your host and the chief decoder, Anis Merchant. In these special series, I share my opinion and perspectives on topics that are near and dear to me. I'm sure you can hear the birds chirping during this podcast. The reason is that I'm at home recording this podcast due to not able to go to my studio. I've put together a two-part series on working from home and the tips which are handy and all of us can use it. Today, in the first episode of this two-part episode, I would share the best practices I have learned over the last 2 weeks on working from home. The pandemic of coronavirus, and also known as COVID-19, has challenged all of us globally to work from home. Personally, it has been a challenge for me as well. For the last 2 weeks, I've been trying to find options from the internet to see how I can learn, be productive, communicate effectively, and more importantly, motivate my teams at work to be connected and stay focused in the period of adversity. In my research, I've come across 16 tips and hacks which I have been trying for the last 2 weeks with positive results personally for me. I decided to share this with my audience at large, and I hope this is helpful for you as well. Today, I would be sharing with you the first 8 hacks. They are in no means of order of priority. But before we start, do remember we are all in it together. The first rule or the first hack is to keep up with your morning rituals. When you would be going to work on a normal day, all of us, including me, have specific morning rituals. These morning rituals can be as little as probably having a cup of black coffee or a tea, or even getting up and exercising or meditating. I would highly recommend to not give up your morning ritual and be at it. The second tip is ensuring that when you get up and when you've completed your morning ritual, you go ahead and get ready to go to work. Working from home can be challenging. From bed to a table or a chair or a workspace cannot get you into the mindset of working from home. I have been personally getting up and getting ready to work since the last 2 weeks, and I have found immense productivity gains because my mind shifts and allows me to get into the work zone mindset. The third tip, which is a personal challenge and has been a challenge for me right from day one, is to find a space or a zone which I can call as my work zone. I have been shifting rooms, tables, chairs, and many other places to go ahead and find a peaceful work from home zone which I can go ahead and concentrate at my work. It is challenging to have kids and other entities or other individuals at home, and they trying to adjust to your work timings as well as to your work calls. What I have realized is you go ahead and define a simple chair or a table or a workspace which you can go ahead and say, this is my work zone. This will allow you and your family members to know and adjust, saying, for example, Anis is going to be sitting on this chair and working, so that's his space, that's his work zone. Many of us are not in a position to go ahead and set up a work office at home, so I would recommend even a simple table or a chair would do the trick, but just define it as your work zone at home. The number 4 tip may sound as simple as our daily bread and butter, but it's been the most effective tool which I have been using personally. And this tool is nothing but our calendar. And this is specifically our work calendar, which you should go ahead and manage your time. And time, when I talk about, it's not just your calls or your meetups with your teams or with your clients or anybody else, but also go ahead and put in time like your lunch, dinner, or even your morning rituals to ensure that you are able to keep yourself honest and able to dedicate time for the key and the critical items which are required for you to get through your day. Number 5, which may sound a little off work, but actually it helps, and when you take a step back and you look at your typical work environment, you have been taking breaks, and these breaks can be getting up from your chair and walking up to a colleague for either a conversation, which may be work or casual, or going to your coffee or your water station to go ahead and have a cup of coffee or a smoke or any other thing which you would want to take break on. When you are at home, it's necessary to take and keep your mind fresh and keep these breaks on so that you are able to go ahead and get back into the zone and not just sit on a specific chair or a table for hours together. Number 6, it's been a biggest challenge for me is to define my switch off time. When you are working from home, you don't know when you start and when you end. And somewhere you start neglecting the most important people in life, which may be your family or friends or anyone else around you. This is critical that at the end of the day and at the start of the day, whatever your timings are, you define your switch off time. It can be during your workday timing as well, that for an hour you're going to switch off. Maybe you want to go ahead and take care of any of your home chores, or go ahead and play with your kids, or be with your family or with your near and dear ones, to ensure that you are able to dedicate that time to your personal priorities as well. Number 7 is to go ahead and bring in your family as well as your kids to ensure that they are part of the plan. And when I talk about part of the plan, is also going ahead and sharing your calendar, your schedule, and everything related to work. I have seen very interesting videos, personally experienced it with myself, where my kids have shown up to client calls or to my team calls in the same camera. And I would recommend, there is nothing wrong with it. All of us are going through that situation. All of us are working from home. Our homes may not be as quiet as we would want to be, but that's okay. Take a deep breath, and that's okay as when I say it, because we are all experiencing change which we haven't seen or heard or experienced before. But at the same time, to ensure that your family doesn't feel neglected because you're working from home, you go ahead and make them part of your plan and let them see your calendar or share your calendar even, and tell them or share with them when are the specific time during the day you would be able to sit with them or dedicate time with them, to ensure that they also align to your plan and they also feel motivated and engage with you throughout the day. Number 8, it's not just about communicating with your home and with your family, but also communicating with people at work or at your clients. And when you communicate, it's important that you keep the video on during those forms of communication. Today, many technology companies are offering these tools for free, which were originally paid, and I would recommend you to maximize that opportunity. Whether it is Microsoft Teams, Slack, Zoom, or even simple as FaceTime or WhatsApp, when you're communicating with the people who matter related to work, go ahead and put your video on. Because in a normal workday, when you meet these people face to face, they're able to see your body language. They're able to see your facial expression. The words over phone, the way the intent or the way you communicate may have a specific intent, but the impact through voice conversation will be very different as compared to a video conversation. If you aren't comfortable with a video conversation, it's your choice. But I would recommend, if you are comfortable, and there are tools and technologies which allow you to blur your background or manage your background to ensure that you don't get a little wary about the background or the people around you, and to ensure the privacy and to manage the privacy of those individuals, you can go ahead and still keep the video on. But if you aren't comfortable, as I said earlier, switch it off. That's fine. But declare that to the other individual, saying that you're uncomfortable for XYZ reasons, and that's your personal choice. I hope these 8 tips which I shared today are useful, and if you do leverage them, I would love to hear from you. You can either leave a feedback on my email, which is thebossman@anismerchant.com, or you can join on our Facebook or Instagram page and leave comments over there. Thank you, and I would only recommend to you that be safe and be healthy during this time. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening in. and we close yet another episode of Masters Decoded. If you've enjoyed the episode, please, you can help us out by sharing it on social media. I would personally appreciate that. It's how we can reach more listeners, and the more listeners we have, the more awesome guests I can get in touch and convince to participate in these conversations that are a joy to have for me, and I hope they are a joy for you to listen as well. You can also help a lot leaving reviews on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. Reviews are surprisingly helpful in supporting the podcast to get to more listeners. If this episode has intrigued you, I would request you to subscribe to the podcast to stay up to date and get notified to the future episodes. With that, I bid you and see you in the next episode.